We meet to serve our community, to use our resources wisely and well, to represent all members of our community fairly, to make decisions that promote the common good. We recognize our responsibility to the past and the future and the rights and needs of both the individuals and community. As trusted servants, we seek blessings on our deliberations and our efforts here today. May we act wisely and well. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Are there any amendments or corrections to the agenda? Seeing none, the agenda is adopted as presented. Has everyone had a chance to look at the minutes from October 16th, October 19th, and October 25th? Are there any corrections or amendments?
And
Seeing none, the minutes are approved as written. Public comments? No public comments? Financial report? I don't believe that Shannon received the financial report yet for October, so we'll skip that. Election supervisor update?
basically it is our numbers of registered voters.
Okay,
And up to date, we have 41,665 registered voters. Of that, 34,3 is active.
Okay.
And inactive is 5,322.
got it. Okay. Anything from the board for the election supervisor update?
No.
All right. Moving on to new business, approval of the newly proposed precinct and polling location changes as presented by the MPOC. And you should have a agenda summary. It was after the meeting minutes or tab 1. And the chair will entertain a motion to approve the newly proposed precinct and polling location changes presented by the new POC.
I move to approve.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
I have moved and seconded to approve the newly proposed precinct and polling change location that are presented by the MPOC. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Discussion concerning changing the December regular Board of Election registration meeting date. I put this on here because there was some questions about whether we should have a meeting on that Thursday before the election staff goes on holiday leave. And I think there were some schedule conflicts also. Does anyone have a proposed date, or we could just cancel that meeting? Although someone has training other than me, and I'd really like to have someone give training on that day other than me.
The concern we have is that we've got an election board in Athens. That's a week right before that.
Okay.
So, if that's. I'll change.
I have no problem canceling. I do not believe that we have anything on the agenda that would be pressing. So if I could get a motion to cancel the December 2023 or 21st meeting?
There is just one thing, because we talked about the presentation to the Board of Education in December.
Okay, so we would need to talk about that. The problem with that is they're going to be going on leave during that time, so it'll be the 21st, I think the 22nd, the school board goes on vacation, so.
It actually starts at 18.
18.
Pardon?
The 18.
Okay.
18 through, what, 35th or something like that.
I think you said.
I'm talking about Christmas.
We can do it on the 20th if,
Is the 22nd or the 18th? Yeah. School board?
School board, the school time when they're out,
Yes.
they get out on 18.
right, so they
I think
would,
the school board meeting in December, they having one.
should be the second Tuesday of the month,
Yeah. that would be
Which
the
would be
20th.
12.
right? So they should have one on that.
Yeah, well, we won't be here anyway, so,
Right.
yeah, so.
So
We
we
can
could either do
cancel.
it.
All right, do I have a motion to cancel the December meeting?
Motion to cancel the December meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? I have a motion and a second to cancel the December Board of Election registration meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, Board of Election and Registration Training. It's on return, on absentee ballots. Absentee voting today. Can you bring up the PowerPoint for me? All right, today we're going to talk about absentee voting. If you can roll back, or I'll get it. And the rules are 21-2, 380, and 390, and SEB Rule 183-1-114. Before we get started with training, I do want to express my great appreciation to everyone that was involved in the MPOC. Without you guys, without the help of the MPOC, we'd have never got the precincts changed the way we have them, or the polling places changed. So I definitely appreciate that. All right. All right, who is considered an absentee elector in Georgia? Anyone that is a registered voter that cast a ballot in Georgia other than election day is considered an absentee ballot or absentee voter. So if you do a mail-in absentee ballot, you're an absentee voter. If you do advanced in-person voting, you're an absentee elector. All right, except as otherwise provided in this section for advanced voting, describing this. Basically, this says 78 days to 11 days. That's when you can apply for an absentee ballot, mail-in absentee ballot in Georgia. So 78 days before the election, up to 11 days before the election. And you have to use an official absentee ballot application provided by the Secretary of State. If you're going to be out of town or you need someone to apply for an absentee ballot for you, the following people can do that. Upon satisfactory proof of relationship made by such elector, the mother, the father, grandparent, aunt, uncle, sister, brother, spouse, daughter, niece, nephew, grandchild, son-in-law, daughter-in-law, mother-in-law, father-in-law, brother-in-law, or sister-in-law, they all have to be above the age of 18. So there's multiple ways for a absentee ballot application to be submitted for you if you're out of town and you just can't get to it. Sorry about the small type. So any person applying for an absentee ballot shall make application in writing on the form made available by the Secretary of State. In order to conform with the identity of the voter, such form shall require the elector to provide his or her name, date of birth, address as registered, where they want the ballot to be mailed to, and the number of the driver's license and or identification card. At no point will the Secretary of State or the election office send you a ballot application or ballot unless you ask for a ballot. We will not just hand them out. We'll not just send them to you. You have to actually apply. Relatives applying for ballots for electors must also sign an oath stating that the fact they are the application. Let's see. Any questions on that? Yes, ma'am. Pardon? No, you can't call and ask. You have to either email or you have to facsimile, or I think there's another way, mail, facsimile,
Pick it up.
and pick it up. Okay, those are the three ways. I think we're going to get to that.
Call and request.
Pardon?
They can call and request a ballot application to be mailed to them.
Okay. I'll check that out.
It is.
All right.
Yeah.
So here we are. We're going to talk about that right now. So any elector meeting criteria of advanced age of this is the 65 or older. May request in writing on one application, a ballot for a presidential preference primary held pursuant to Article 5 of this chapter, and for the primary as well as any runoffs resulting thereof. So if they want to do a application for the entire election cycle, they have to be over 65 and they have to actually request it. Okay. If they don't request it, then they will have to actually have an application for each election and each runoff.
Like we disable us.
Pardon?
Disable us. They can be disabled.
Yes, or disabled also. Yes, 65 or disabled. Thank you. If not so requested by such person, a separate and distinct application shall be required for each primary runoff, primary election or runoff, except otherwise as provided in the subsection. So if you're not disabled and you're not 65, application for every election or runoff,
Or,
and you have to request it,
or under the federal uniformed.
or under UOCAVA. Yep, UOCAVA too. See, I'm glad I sent this training out for y'all. Catching my mistakes. All right, preparation and delivery of supplies. The Board of Registers or absentee ballot clerk shall mail or issue official absentee ballots to all eligible applicants not more than 29 days, but not less than 25 days prior to any PPP, general primary, or other municipal general primary, general election, or other municipal election, blah, blah, blah. Or 22 days if it's just a local election where there's no federal office on there. So you can apply 78 days prior to the election, but you're not going to receive your ballot until 29 days. That'll be the earliest you'll ever receive your ballot. Or 22 days if it's a general election, and as soon as possible for a runoff. Any questions on that? Okay, notwithstanding any other provisions, chapter, an elector confined to a hospital may make application for an absentee ballot on the day of the primary or election or during a 10-day period immediately preceding the day of such primary or election. So there's the caveat if you're in the hospital. And we'll actually bring you the application and bring you the ballot. All right, anytime after receiving an official absentee ballot, but before the day of the primary election, except electors who are confined to a hospital on the day of the primary election, the elector shall vote his or her absentee ballot. So we have to have your absentee ballot on the day of the election by 7 p.m. That's all that's saying right there. Such envelope shall be securely sealed, and elector shall then personally mail or personally deliver same to the Board of Registers or absentee ballot clerk, as provided that mailing or delivery may be made by the following people. And it goes on to say any individual reside in the household of such elector can also deliver it. Okay, when a timely submitted absentee ballot is rejected, the Board of Registers or absentee ballot clerk shall send the electors notice of such a rejection not later than the close of business on the third business day after receiving the ballot. However, for any timely submitted absentee ballot that is rejected within 11 days of an election day, no later than the close of business on the next business day. Any questions on that? All right, there shall be a period of advanced in-person voting that shall commence on the fourth Monday immediately prior to each primary or election, and also as soon as possible prior to a runoff for a general election, primary election, but no later than the second Monday immediately prior to each of the runoff, and shall end on the Friday immediately prior to each primary election. So basically this is saying there's going to be 3 weeks of early voting for an election, and at least 1 week of early voting for a runoff. Early voting for the main election requires 2 Saturdays, and you can also have 2 Sundays also if the board approves it. And there's no Saturday voting for runoff. This just talks about publishing times and dates, location, availability, advanced voting. We have to do it 14 days prior to, and we have to post that. And it just talks about the reporting requirements that each register has to do before 10 a.m. All right, this talks about if you're 75 years of age or older, who is disabled and requires assistance in casting an absentee ballot in person upon requesting a designated office employee or other individual be authorized to vote immediately at the next available voting compartment. So if you're standing in line, you're 75 years older, you're allowed to go to the head of the line and ask permission to go and vote immediately, or if you're disabled. Okay? But you have to ask. This just talks about opening at 8 a.m. on the third Monday prior to the day of the primary election or runoff. The election supervisor shall be authorized to open this is talking about mail-in absentee ballots. So we're authorized to open the outer envelope of the absentee ballots that have been verified and accepted and remove the contents of such outer envelope, open the inner envelope marked official absentee ballot, and scan the absentee ballot using one or more ballot scanners. At least 7 days prior to beginning the absentee ballot processing and scanning, public notice, the date, start, and end times, location, or locations where absentee ballots will be processed and scanned, and that such processing and scanning shall be open to the public at all times. The election superintendent shall ensure that the ballots shall be scanned, reconciled, and securely stored on the same workday in which the outer envelopes are opened. We're allowed to scan them into our system, but we are not allowed to tabulate them. There's a difference. And you have to have at least 3 people do this process. And the process is always open to the public. We encourage the public to come watch. The county election superintendent may, in his or her discretion, after 7 a.m. on the day of the primary election or runoff, begin tabulating the election or the absentee ballots. So no earlier than 7 a.m. on the day of the primary election. The county election superintendent choose to open the inner envelopes and begin tabulating such ballots prior to the close of the polls on the day of primary election or runoff. The superintendent shall notify in writing at least 7 days prior to the primary election or runoff the Secretary of State, the superintendent's intent to begin absentee ballot tabulation prior to the close of the polls. And the election superintendent shall publish a written notice in the superintendent's office or the superintendent's intent to begin absentee ballot, and publish such notice at least 1 week prior to the primary election or runoff in the legal organ of the county. So we have to notify the public that we're going to start tabulating early. If it's before, or yeah, if it's before 7 p.m. If we do it before then, we have to notify the public. So basically it's saying it's, all minors or reservists shall be sequestered until the polls close. And there'll be no tabulating, and it shall be unlawful at any time prior to the close of the polls for any person to disclose or for any person to receive any information regarding the results of the tabulation or absentee ballot, except as expressly provided by law. And this talks about cancellation. So if you get your absentee ballot, you've done the application, you decide, hey, I'm going to come to the polls and vote. This is the procedure on how we handle that and what the elector can and can't do. Once it's turned in, once a ballot is turned into our office, it is considered voted, and you can't cancel it once it's voted. And it just talks about if you go to the polling office and you have the ballot, this is the process that you would use. And this talks about if you have not received the ballot, this is the process that we would use. You can either have us reissue a ballot, or you can come to the polls and just vote in person once you sign an affidavit. Questions for me? All right, I got some questions for y'all. True or false? Absentee ballot applications can only be approved if the voter provides a reason. False. When is the earliest and latest a person may apply for a mailed-in absentee ballot for an election? 78 to 11. And for runoff?
5.
Pardon?
Runoff.
For runoff? 20, soon as possible. Yeah. At what age may an elector request an absentee ballot for an entire election cycle?
65.
65. True or false, an application for mail-in absentee ballot is required for each PPP, primary election, and runoff unless the elector meets the age and/or disability requirement. That is true.
And the other one,
Pardon?
and the uniform.
Yeah, and the uniform. She's got her UOCAVA voters, all right. For runoff, when must mail-in absentee ballots be mailed for runoff? Do you remember?
Is that what 22?
It's earlier than 28, no later than 25.
That's right. When may an elector confined to a hospital apply for a mail-in absentee ballot?
Day of election,
Or,
the primary.
or 10 days preceding the election.
Yeah.
When must all non-UOCAVA mail-in absentee ballots be received by the election superintendent?
7 p.m.
7 p.m.
You call?
on election day, except UOCAVA.
Oh, no.
Yeah, except
Wednesday.
all non-UOCAVA. I got the UOCAVA on that one.
Okay.
All right. When must the public be notified of advanced voting dates, times, and locations?
2 days. 7 days.
14 days. Okay, it's 14 days for advanced voting. At what age does an elector have a right to request to move to the front of the line to vote?
75.
75. Or if you're disabled. That's right. When shall the election superintendent be authorized to open the outer envelope and of the absentee ballots that have been verified and accepted?
Beginning 8 a.m. on the third Monday prior to.
That's right. It's like an open book test here, people. You've got the notes.
I know, but we don't want to read. You can't make us read it.
The election superintendent shall ensure that the ballots shall be scanned, reconciled, and securely stored on the blank, blank, blank in which the outer envelopes are opened.
Same day,
Basically the same day.
same work day.
Same workday. So if you open a outer envelope, it will be in a secured envelope and it will have been scanned before the election team goes home. All right, when is the election superintendent allowed to begin tabulating?
7 a.m. on the day.
Okay. When may an elector cancel their mail-in absentee ballot?
At the election.
So they can, at the election, yep, so they can come into the absentee ballot, they can come to the registrar's office and say they don't want their absentee ballot, they're gonna vote in person. Okay? And then come on election day, so advanced election day or registrar's office. Yes, ma'am, you look like you have a question. Thank you. There was a question I wanted to ask, and I
Too late.
don't want to ask it. No, I don't want to ask it, sorry. Bad choice of words. In which an elector desires to vote, any absentee elector may make either by mail, by facsimile, by electronic transmission, or in person in the registrar's or absentee ballot clerk's office. So they're not allowed to call in.
We will tell them
No.
straight that then.
They call in for an application.
Yeah, this is for the application.
You can mail them
They-
application.
Well,
They're not requesting the absentee ballot.
Right,
They're
just
requesting
asking
them
the application.
to mail them an
To get a
application
ballot.
ballot.
We can mail them
You
application.
can mail them an application.
Making an application.
okay. I stand corrected.
All right, so.
I'm gonna do some research.
I'm gonna say,
I'm gonna get on my ladder and I'm gonna do some research.
Search
right.
until you find it. We have a lot of.
Any additional, oh, here we go.
They can't come.
Important upcoming dates. Veterans Day is Friday, November 10th. It'll be observed by the county, so all county officers will be closed. It's actually November 11th, but we're celebrating on the 10th. Thanksgiving holidays will be Thursday and Friday, November 23rd and 24th. And our next boarding meeting is not until the third Wednesday of January because our board meeting in December got canceled. And Christmas holidays. What? We're taking Christmas off. Friday, December 22nd through Tuesday, December 26th, 2023, all government offices will be closed. And next, additional public comments. We're limiting public comments to 3 minutes. if you could step up to the podium, just state your name and address, and it's on any subject you would like.
My name is Janie Everett, and I reside in Woodbine, Georgia, 1106 South Court Avenue. My concern, I see, or I've heard, that you all unanimously voted to move the polling places. And I planned on being here on time. I was here at 4:05. You all started at 4 o'clock. I simply have a problem with the Woodbine polling place being moved from the Woodbine City Hall or the courthouse to a church. Normally, you're not welcome at that church or being confronted at that church. So why? I don't pay taxes to go in someone else's church. And so why would you put a polling place in a church? That's why you have so many churches, because people go where they're comfortable, where their religion allows them the services they would like. But I am definitely opposed to the moving of the voting place from the city hall or this courthouse to the church here in Woodbine. It's simple. You know, I have been told, what are you doing here? So my thing is, my tax dollars should not be paid to a place that I'm not comfortable or feel safe in or welcome. I pay taxes all the time, and I would like to have a place that I feel comfortable. And I always vote in person, not absentee. And basically, you all have taken my right away to feel safe and welcome by moving it to this particular church in Woodbine. Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am, I would like to talk to you after the meeting, if that's okay. Okay. All right, any additional public comments?
I'm Dr. Janet Bradford, 145 Christina Lane in Kingsland. My comment is with regard to the 2024 general election and the concept of souls to the polls, which doesn't happen unless there is Sunday voting. And we didn't have Sunday voting in 2022 in Camden. And so I would encourage the board to seek the necessary funding in the 2025 budget, because the election costs will be in FY25. To seek that funding from the Board of Commissioners, from the county commissioners, so that we will be able to have those 2 Sundays that we're allowed to have by law for Sunday voting in Camden County, in support of those organizations that want to sponsor or help their church members go on Sundays after church in a souls to the polls. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other additional public comments? No? Okay. If there are no objections, this meeting will adjourn. Since there are no objections, this meeting is adjourned.